What's up with the what's up? It's your girl Tatami, and today we are going to finally, we're going to talk about why I think Stuart Little is the perfect example of a transracial adoptive situation. If you know me, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I give adoptive parents, but especially transracial adoptive parents, the habitual side eye. This is, one of those things that many people question when they hear about me. They're like, but why, Tatami? You question Mr. and Mrs. Little's hearts when they go into that orphanage to adopt Stuart? You question that? You don't think they're good people? You don't think that And I was like, whoa, this is exactly why. Of course, I've never had anybody say it about the Littles, but I've had them say it about other people. I've had it said about my adopted parents. I've had other adoptive parents try and say it about themselves. Why? Because they're used to being painted as the hero, as the brilliant person, as the person swooping in and helping somebody, and they're only filling cups. They're never emptying them. They're never kind of questionable people in themselves. They don't make mistakes. And if they do make mistakes, it's okay because it wasn't really their kid and they gave their best, and that kid could have been on the streets raped. And so therefore, any crumbs that they get from the transracial adoptive parent is better than what they should have. So they're always the hero. Oh gosh, let's get into this. Let's get into this. But first, you know me. We gonna smoke a chop. So we remember to remain calm. And we remember, although this is just a talk about a movie, we are talking actually about real children, real situations that real children go through, and that real people condone real transracial parents for doing, okay? So I'm just saying, let's stay calm because I am talking about Stuart, but I'm not talking about Stuart. I'm not talking about Stuart Little. Okay, let's continue. Okay. I missed the door, okay? You saw it, I saw it, we all saw it. Let's get over it. All right, so Stuart Little was the first book written by a young person named E.B. White. Actually, I don't know if he was young when he did it, but I do know it was his first book, in that he wrote it to be a startler. He wrote it so that librarians would read it and then be like, what is this? And then send it to their librarian friends and thusly get it into libraries all over the United States. I believe his wife was a teacher or a librarian herself, and either way, she encouraged him to do it. In the original Stuart Little story, Stuart Little is birthed. Mrs. Little births this little mouse boy. He's a birthed son, carried to term, and born with all the features of a mouse. Okay? And he does age like a mouse, all of these things. It's a wonderful first book, don't you think? Like, God damn, like, I'm kind of jealous of myself. I hope my first children's book is half as much loved by any of the kids that it meets. Okay, it's really well done. The movie, however, they were like, what we're not gonna do, I guess, is have her birth a mouse. I don't blame them. I don't blame whoever made that movie for trying to skip over that piece. So what we have in the movie is a couple who goes to the local orphanage to find a child, to find their second child, okay? They already have an oldest. They're looking to round out their family, and they've chosen adoption. That's beautiful. Most people, seems like legit, right? It seems like a legit situation. Their son comes down. It's today. He is specific to them. He says, I want a little brother. They say, we got you. We've already discussed. Everybody knows the plan. The plan is that we are going to get you a little brother. Okay, that was the plan. So they go to the orphanage, and quickly, in their sense of personal heroism, become derailed. So first off, they're overwhelmed. They're like, oh, maybe we should adopt all the children. Oh, no, maybe we shouldn't adopt all the children. You know, that's kind of how they're acting, though. Is like, oh, they're all perfect. We could adopt them all, but it's so hard to choose. How could you choose one of these children? In steps Stuart. And Stuart, he's coming off as very intelligent. He comes off as somebody who needs something. He's coming off as somebody who is, you know, loving, right? He wants the other kids to find a good home. He's kind of the perfect child in most regards, except for the fact that he is incredibly different from the littles in ways that absolutely count, in ways that could put Stuart's life literally in danger, in ways that could absolutely trash Stuart's existence. And that's the worst case scenario. A little bit better than that is that he gets raised with a complex. Okay, so with one thing or another, they decide to bring Stuart home. They're told by the headmaster, we don't usually do this. Are you even prepared? Blah, blah, blah. They almost try and shame the headmistress. Like, are you saying this kid can't be, like, you know what I'm saying? They don't say it like that, but that's kind of the implication. It's low-level manipulation. They end up with Stuart in their house, despite the fact that they're unqualified for it. They haven't really thought it through. Their house is totally unprepared. And in their minds, they are so unlearned about the subject that it doesn't even occur to them to perhaps take a week and switch their house up and make it acceptable, or even like a few months, a week. You know what I'm saying? They don't take any amount of time to maybe switch things up, prepare mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, the whole house for this child who is a totally different situation than what you had planned for. So best case scenario would have been that they planned for a mouse child. Worst case scenario is what occurred. They don't see race, they don't see species, they don't see color. They just see a child who needs love. Some children need more than others. Like, you can see a disabled child and think like, oh, like I love them like I'd love any child, but you know logically that they need certain things in the house to make their lives more comfortable and safe. Shit. Guess I'm the bad guy. Because they side-eye the headmistress, take this baby home, and their son quickly puts this whole thing in check. He's like, I know what you said you were coming home with, but I know what this is. I know what you said, but I know what this is. So what the hell is going on? And so then they continue to basically act like everything's merry on its way. There's no extra effort, again, being put into stuff. Stuart almost gets killed 3 or 4 times by the cat, by the laundry, by, you know, just trying to live his everyday life. He almost gets killed. And like his family doesn't even notice. They're just trying to act like it's all cool. At no point do they think maybe I'm unqualified for this. Maybe I've made a mistake. Maybe I've hurt somebody who I didn't mean to hurt in my own eagerness, in my own naivete. They don't think like this. Of course not. They never think like this because they're the hero. They adopted a child. That's all you need to do is adopt a child, and then you're the hero forever. So, and the child always has to be grateful to you, right? The child is never really the hero. The child is somebody who perpetually is now in debt to you because now they're on their second mother or their second father. So Stuart continues on, right? We end up meeting the family, and the family can't hide their shock at his appearance. They're like, what is going on here exactly? We know what you said you had, and now we know what we're here with, and we're totally unprepared. You've made us unprepared. We've come looking like jackasses because you chose not to prepare everybody. And then now if we say anything or do anything, we seem like the dick because you didn't prepare anybody for this. Nobody showed up with adequate supplies. Nobody showed up with adequate mentality. This is the type of stuff that happens in regular transracial families as well. So we've got the angry older brother, the brother who doesn't really accept you, who is expecting something totally different, and now sees you just as an explanation, a liability, something that they don't really want to have to deal with. We have the, family who can't really hide their reaction. And so that's something you have to deal with, is people basically flinching at your appearance as you grow up. And then, we have like the fact that we have this incredibly dangerous situation and the parents are woefully oblivious. Further, we have the fact that Stuart ends up having to be the healer, the master healer of the entire family. He ends up having to be the person who teaches everybody how to love, shows everybody the capacity of their heart. Oh, wait. I forgot almost the most important part. His parents are so detached and unlearned about basics in mousedom that two random mice show up, say they're his parents, and they just pass them on. Oh, this is your son. Oh, well, I wanted him, but here you go. And I'm not saying that's like a realistic thing that would happen, because I've said this before. I don't think like a white person would just hand over their child of color that they paid for fair and square. But I do think that this inability to tell the difference in the species, inability to understand cultural differences, that represents a lot of different things when you think about it. Now, I understand I could be just projecting a whole lot onto this movie that none of this had to do with, but I have seen this movie on adoption sites where they mostly don't like the movie because the parents die pretty horrifically, getting crushed by cans, and he does get kidnapped by a set of random parents, which I can see why a parent wouldn't want their kid to see this. However, I enjoyed the movie as a kid because I understood it was an adoption movie, and there just weren't a lot of adoption movies. That was basically the only reason I watched it. I never watched the sequels. I think I've seen part of one with like a bird in it, but I think the bird was from the book. So anyway, my point is I'm not sure like where the line was drawn with the movie, where they were how far they were trying to go with it. But I think that even if it was on accident, it showed perfectly. These people just didn't understand about any culture, didn't understand about any people. It was up to Stuart to find his way home. It was up to Stuart to make his brother love him. It was up to Stuart to make like the cat like be decent to him. He had to put in a shit ton of labor, and there wasn't really much given to him besides like being taken out of the orphanage, where he was already dressed and cleansed pretty well, had a decent amount of attention paid to him, clearly. Meanwhile, in this home, he's like constantly facing death, but he's told that the only thing he can ever want is a family. So it's all worth it in the end. It's worth it for him to have his emotional and, physical safety put at risk a dozen times because these people want to adopt him and they mean well about it. And I mean, I think they meant well this whole time. They meant well when they almost killed him. They meant well when they didn't tell nobody to bring a decent gift. So people showed up with whole ass tricycles and bowling balls that this kid couldn't use. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure they meant well this whole time, but they're just, they failed him. They failed Stuart. They failed this whole situation. And I think it's a beautiful metaphor for what exactly occurs in these transracial families, because people will end up in families where everybody seems like they're doing their best. Oh, like, we're putting in all this work. We mean so well. Like, they're a respected member of the community. They're nice people. So you think you can't question anything they do. Meanwhile, I mean, let's all be honest, Stuart should have been taken out of that home several times. It should have been like painfully clear that they didn't have the means and the wherewithal, the training to take care of this kid. There should have been training. There should have been, you know what I'm saying? Like, it should have been more difficult. It should have been a more strenuous thing for them, and it shouldn't have just been like, oh, like, they're just great people just because they decided to adopt, and they on a whim decided to adopt a kid that they were not in any way, shape, or form ready for. And then, like, Stuart goes on to have to like win like a fucking, he has to play trains, he has to like win like the great boat race. He has to try on clothes for his mom. He's just basically performative and like keeping the family together from the moment he gets in. They were a bland ass Mayo family, and they found their little thing talking piece. They found their spice. Poof. We call him Stuart Little. At any rate, I had wanted to spit this one out because I had been saying I was going to do it, and then now I'm like, oh, I have other ones I want to do too. So I decided to get out Stuart Little from an adoptee's perspective now so that we can get on to other movies that I wanted to do, such as, like, I don't know, Harry Potter or Pollyanna or Onward, or any number of movies with children missing a parent or being adopted into a new family. All right, thank you for watching. May your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads, and sorry about my kids.